Attention Sleepless Knights. Thank you for consuming this OSI 74 product broadcast, live from the Black Knight satellite. For optimum performance and safety, your host, Mr. Lobo, asks that you please listen to these instructions carefully. When in a hospital or other healthcare facility, observe the restrictions on the use of electronic devices. Switch off before boarding an aircraft to prevent interference with communications systems. Do not operate this device in the presence of flammable gases or fumes, chemical plants, or where blasting operations are in progress. Always listen hands-free while driving a vehicle. Failure to observe these instructions may lead to immediate termination. It's time now for the show to begin. Thank you. Have a very pleasant evening.
You're not dreaming. You're listening to the Sleepless Knights podcast. I'm your host, Mr. Lobo, and in another satellite somewhere else is my co-host, Paul Sanders. Paul, are you there? Paul, come in.
What? Oh, we're doing
Paul.
This already? No, wait, hold on.
Yes, we're doing it now, Paul, please.
But no, wait, the best part of Guardians of the Galaxy, or not, sorry, Hitchhikers Guardian.
You don't even know what you're watching.
Hitchhikers Guardians of the Galaxy is on, and I want to watch it.
That was that yes, exactly. When Douglas Adams said all those horrible things on Twitter and almost lost his job.
Yes.
I remember
that. You never know when Zaphoid, Beeblebrox, and Rocket Raccoon team up. God damn it, this is a good movie.
Yeah, wow. I want to see this movie. So you're watching movies, Paul, when we're supposed to be doing a podcast.
Well, I mean that's the great thing about being in a different satellite. You can't really control me now. Now I have other distractions.
Was I holding you back, Paul? That was the problem. I was keeping you, killing your fun. That was the real problem?
Sure.
So, Paul, are you watching Guardians of the Galaxy, or are you watching Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Okay, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Both of those are adaptions, right?
Yes, they are.
Guardians of the Galaxy was a really horrible comic book. And Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy was a really wonderful series of outpourings from Douglas Adams.
Guardians of the Galaxy, I guess as a culture, we're more accepted of them bending the rules a little bit to adapt that to a movie versus like this, where it's actually, adapted from a book. And everybody, I think we talked about this before with Ready Player One, where it's like everybody's a little bit more strict about how the movie adaptations are versus books, and how I didn't like Ready Player One adaptation from the book, because we live in an age where you can get pretty damn close to the book. And Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is pretty damn close to the book. I mean, they take liberties, I like both medias. I like the book and I like the movie. Is it because Douglas Adams was involved with it? Is that what makes the difference?
I don't know. I mean, Douglas Adams was involved with it as a movie before he died, and I guess that was the last thing he worked on was the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy movie. And I know he always wanted it to be a movie. I think in the case of Ready Player One, they had to make a lot of concessions, which is different than choices, right? When you're making a choice and saying this would make this a good movie, versus making a choice like, well, we can't get the rights to Max Headroom, so we'll have him do something else, right? I mean,
we'll throw King Kong at him instead.
Yeah, we'll have some characters from Halo in the movie.
We'll play a commercial on TV saying how much the main character loves the 80s, and then everything in that commercial will not be of things from the 80s. It will be Jurassic Park, which was the 90s. It will be King Kong, which was the 90s. It will be Halo, which is more modern. It'll be TMNT, which didn't come out, didn't become more popular until the 90s.
Well, I think you're right. You're right. I liked Ready Player One more than you did, but I didn't read the book. Right.
Okay.
And I think the other thing is that, so I don't know, books and movies are not exchangeable commodities. And sometimes what makes a good book doesn't make a good movie. It's like a song versus a song of, a song about a mountain versus a sculpture of a mountain versus a dance about a mountain. I mean, when you translate it into a different medium, doesn't always work. But I think with Ready Player One, I mean, what were the things that really bothered you more, the technical aspects of what they left out, or is it because you just weren't engaged by the characters and the situation?
I think it was like I knew that there was going to be liberties. Of course, you're going to go to the movie knowing that they're going to be liberties, and some of the liberties they took, I loved. I mean, I assume that means that you've seen Ready Player One now.
Oh yeah, I have.
Oh yeah. Well, good, because like some of the liberties that I loved.
But I saw it at the cheap movies. I saw it at the $4 movies, so I wasn't as disappointed.
No, I saw it when it came out. No, one of the I loved the Shining aspect. You know, when they went into The Shining.
Yeah, that was incredible.
I like that part.
The best part of the movie.
That's not in the book. You know, that's a liberty with the movie. So, you know, that was pretty good. They kind of gloss over a lot of things. They made it really simple how to get the keys and everything else. And I mean, I know they're going to have to simplify it for the fact of, you know, we only have 2 hours to tell this story. So, you know, we can't go into the details of all the keys, but it's like, you know, it was just pretty lame. You know, in the books, the keys weren't that easy. You know, it wasn't that easy to do all that thing. And it was just like, well, you know, we just walk up and we get a key and that's it. One person does it and then automatically everybody can do it afterwards. And it's not necessarily how that worked. The glaring thing, and it's actually funny, is that I watched a YouTube video, and it actually YouTube it was How It Should Have Ended. I'm sure everybody on the internet or listening to this may be familiar with that channel, but not How It Should Have Ended. Sorry, it's Cinema Sins was what I was watching, and they had seen the point at this one thing where it's like, I know this aspect is kind of lame, but anybody who's read the book would be super pissed off about this. And it's about the quarter that gives him the extra life. Spoilers after the fact if anybody's not watched Ready Player One. But in the book, there's a little bit more detail of how he gets that quarter. You know, he doesn't just say something and the guy just gives him the quarter like he does in the movie. Like, it was very, very lame. And it was very odd, too, because, what's his name? Og, I think his name was. Og in the book doesn't really interact with them. I mean, he interacts with them in he parties and stuff like that, but he doesn't do anything to help them win the game because that's not his role. You know, that was his business partner's role. You know, his business partner created this. His role was to just stay out of it, and it just was kind of cheap. Where it's like, oh, I'm just going to give this quarter to this guy. And it just seemed like it was a little bit more, you know, insider. You know, he didn't want the corporation to take over either. I mean, in the book, he didn't really want it. He didn't want that either, but it wasn't his role to play a part in that.
Yeah, well, maybe they were trying to add a surprise to it because obviously, you know, the only reason people go to a movie or read a book is because they don't know what's going to happen or don't know how it's going to turn out. You know, I guess. I mean, there are a lot of people who love spoilers. There are people who are like, Dixie's friend Laura, or our friend Laura. I mean, she wanted to know everything about Guardians of the Galaxy. She wanted who dies, who lives. She wanted to know every single thing. She didn't want any surprises when she went to go see the movie, which I guess I don't know if it's a generational thing, but there are people out there who don't want to be surprised. They want to know what's going to happen, which
movie
odd.
was this? Hitchhikers Guardians of the Galaxy she wanted to know about?
Yeah, she wanted to know about, that was the Avengers, the Infinity War. Now, Hitchhikers Guide to the Galaxy, let me say this briefly about Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I think, one, it does translate well into a screenplay because it started as a radio program. Mm-hmm. And then was then made into a book after a radio program. And they changed a lot of things in the book version from the radio program. And then they made it into a TV series from the radio program and the books also. Mm-hmm. So it was already went from being a radio program to a series of books to a TV show. And each time they sort of adjusted the story. So, you know, by the time it got to a movie, I think it became kind of more clear that it's more the journey than the particulars, I think. And I think that, you know, I liked the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy movie. Mm-hmm. And in fact, the things I liked about it most were the things that were unlike the book because it was easy for me to compare things like, well, I kind of like the scene in the bar from the TV show version better than that scene in the bar from the movie version. But, you know, they never went to Vogosphere in the TV show. So when they went, all the stuff on Vogosphere was awesome. Like I loved all of that stuff so much more because I wasn't constantly comparing lines of dialogue as heard in the radio play or read in the book or seen in the TV show. You know, it was something we'd never seen before. You know, and we're in this kind of place where everything is a rehash or a remake or a reboot. And it's just like, I'm kind of story greedy. It's like, show me something I haven't already seen. You know, you don't have to necessarily destroy what already exists, but I'd love to get more, especially now that Douglas Adams is dead. It's like, it was great. Like what's the thing in Hitchhiker's Guide? The point of view gun, the gun where you shoot someone and you automatically understand their point of view.
Right.
I mean, that's such a beautiful Adams-esque.
And that's not even in the book.
No,
that whole subquest is not even in the book. So, you know, and that's something that deviates, which doesn't ruin the movie for me. No,
it doesn't. And it's so apropos and so on the nose to what Douglas Adams was all about that it's just, I think it's just a great aspect like that like the point of view gun and the plants that look like paddles that grow up out of the ground and slap you in the face when you have an original idea. I think all of those, you know, little things like that, which are deeply satirical and funny and have the essence of what those books were about and were new. That was really exciting, you know, for that movie. And so for me, it's like when I first saw it, I didn't like it as much, but I definitely have gone back and watched the Hitchhikers movie several times since then. And the things that grew on me, the things I liked the most were the original things. And then now I've grown to like it all, and not compare those scenes that are similar to the things from the book. But you know, I'm sad that financially that movie didn't do as well as they hoped, because I really feel like, because
they did set up for the what is it, the restaurant at the end of the universe. They set it up for the
universe. They set it up perfectly. And to be honest, I would either like to see, what I would like to see even more than that is if they just did another television series.
Bring it to Netflix or something, you know?
Oh my gosh. I mean, really honestly, like the Dirk Gently, which is also Douglas Adams, the Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency. I don't know if you've ever seen that, Paul.
I haven't watched it yet. I sold you guys a shirt, though.
Oh, yeah, you did.
I believe I traded it for Rocket Raccoon.
But I do feel like even though those aren't like the books at all, again, I'm story greedy. It was nice to see Dirk Gently have more adventures, and it was nice to see things I hadn't seen before. But I felt like Douglas Adams' humor, his spirit was kind of intact on that, even though he's been long dead now. But I want to see, and that ended with a huge cliffhanger because the ratings were not good. I would love to see a Hitchhikers done in a similar way as episodic, because I mean, really, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy was as a radio play was created as an episodic. And, you know, those adventures can just go on forever with just these kind of aware, I mean, basically Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, I mean, Douglas Adams was an understudy of Graham Chapman from Monty Python. And he also was a script editor for Doctor Who. So basically the two biggest influences of Hitchhikers is Monty Python and Doctor Who. And you know, I mean, both of those things can just go on forever. You know, you know, it's sketch comedy, you know, in space, basically. So how are we doing on time, Paul? Are we?
Well, I've been messaging you your time, so apparently you're not seeing it.
Okay, which thing are you using?
I'm on Skype. Open up your window on Skype. Open the text window.
Opening my where's my text?
You hit the little thing on the bottom.
Oh, on the gosh darn it. Okay, and then it isn't showing me anything.
It should be on the left side here.
I'm looking at the left side. Paul Sanders. I see. Are you writing stuff?
I am writing stuff.
Seeing anything.
We're less than the last thing I typed was 1 minute.
Oh, fine.
And that was a minute ago.
Damn. Well, guys, that's a problem. We get a couple of nerds talking about Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy and Douglas Adams and comic book movies and sci-fi novels made into movies. The time just flies. A lot of important things, a lot of serious things, a lot of deep stuff to talk about in this episode. And we have your comments and questions that we've been asking for online. And I think a couple of those are popping up in the toaster. So please stay with us for more Sleepless Nights of Insomnia.
We come from the retro future. We want you to be nostalgic for what's to come. A new channel and distribution network for smart people with bad taste, featuring content from Church of the Subgenius, Creature Features, Cinema Insomnia, Sleazy P. Martini and Guar, Troma, Corey Maccabee, horror, sci-fi, Saturday morning cartoons, midnight movies, and assorted trash we love. Add our channel OSI74 to your Roku player or visit OSI74.com. All systems go.
So long and thanks for all the fish. So sad it had to come to this. Right? Ba-da-da-da-da-da. And pregnant women.
Something.
So long.
Read
right?
the second
You like
book.
your tiny tots and your pregnant women?
Tiny
Yep.
tots and yeah. Oh, we botched the hell out of that.
So good.
That's one of my favorite aspects of that movie.
Yeah, inexplicably, the movie starts with a song, a musical number sung by dolphins,
Which
is just
the premise
wonderful.
of the second book.
Yeah, the third book,
Third book?
Long. Thanks. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because the second book is the restaurant at the end of the
At the end of the
universe.
universe. Actually, no, I think it's the fourth book is So Long and Thanks for All the Fish.
But I think they talk about it in the first book.
Yeah, and
They said the dolphins left the notes.
Yeah, the dolphins actually, they leave the Earth of their own, by their own means when the Vogons come to destroy the Earth. And they do a triple in the book. They say they do a somersault through a hoop while whistling the Star Spangled Banner backwards. But really what they were trying to say was so long and thanks for all the fish. That was misinterpreted.
Well, they're also they're hyper intelligent beings too that humans didn't understand,
Yes.
or couldn't comprehend.
Right. Yes, they were much smarter than we were. They were pan-dimensional, hyper-intelligent beings, and so when the time came for the Earth to blow up, they just took off.
Spoilers.
Sorry, spoilers. If you don't know that the whole damn thing is about the Earth blowing up and them hitchhiking across the galaxy, I'm sorry. But originally Douglas Adams, the original title of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy was going to be called The Ends of the Earth. And then every episode, the world was going to explode or end in a different way. And it was you were just waiting to find out how the Earth ends in the particular episode. But then he decided that was too limiting to have to keep writing how the world gets destroyed every week.
It kind of makes sense in the book and the movie too, because there's alternate Earths and everything else. Mm-hmm. In the books, they're constantly exploring alternate Earths,
alternate histories of Earth, alternate Earths. There's an Earth 2. A lot of things, a lot of interesting things. But we have some comments from our. You got some water there, Paul?
I got some water
hydrated.
Here. Yeah, I'm hydrated.
Mm-hmm. We have.
Hopefully, you're not too hydrated, because I don't think I could take the second half of the show by myself. We already know what happens when that happens.
Yeah.
I might have to air Hitchhikers Guardians to the Galaxy for the last half of the episode.
Hitchhikers Guardians to the Galaxy. In 3D.
In 3D. We just have another question.
So we have some questions from fans coming in. And we have some heavy stuff to talk about, but I think we'll save that for the end of this episode. And right now we want to connect with you. We want to get personal.
And next time we're gonna ask before, like 5 minutes before I hit the record button, so we have a little bit more time to gather questions.
Yeah. So this one is interesting. Does the mantra of there are no bad movies, it's actually they're not bad movies, just misunderstood, which is my motto, apply to the new movies that come out and absolutely suck?
Are you asking me?
No, this is from Charles Winthrop. I mean, I guess you could answer this, and then I could answer it.
No comment.
That's how you're going to answer that? I mean, we just talked about Ready Player One. Now, would you say Ready Player One sucked, or were you just disappointed?
I wouldn't say it sucked. I mean, if I judge movies if I have to buy them, and I have no intentions of ever buying Ready Player One. But if it was on TV or Netflix or something like that, I'd probably watch it again.
You know, I took
it was okay, but it just wasn't the best.
See it. Dixie and I were there, and we all kind of watched it together, and we had a pretty good time. But as far as like, let's see, new movies that come out and are absolutely terrible, and that does, I mean, again, there's the right tool for the right job, right? For every movie that I think sucks, there's somebody out there who it's their favorite movie. I think every movie is somebody's favorite movie, no matter how terrible it is. Usually it's the person who made it or their mother. But I do feel like it is a matter of perception. I mean, really, a movie is nothing. It's just light and shadow and, sounds. And it's what you bring to it is everything that it is. So if it's something that your brain doesn't need or doesn't want, you're not going to enjoy it. But maybe that certain array of light and sound and noise will please someone else's brain. And sometimes ironically. And ironic enjoyment is still enjoyment. So does that answer the question? Sort of.
Did you say erotic enjoyment?
No, ironic.
Oh.
This is like when we were arguing about the Marvel superheroes theme, where it's like, you remember the old Marvel superheroes where they were like comic strip cutouts where they were barely animated?
Yeah, that were like late 60s.
Yeah,
and it was like Submariner.
Yes, and I think it's like something superheroes and the type of superheroes, exotic and something and erotic superheroes, and I don't think it's erotic, right? Is that how it goes? It might be erotic. I wish I could find that theme. Maybe we could play that out in a commercial, but I don't know why I got there. I don't know where we got there from, but anyway. They're not bad movies, just misunderstood. I like to say that because I do feel like art is subjective. I mean, I think any intelligent person understands that art is subjective. It is interesting, though, when, I think that the only disappointment in a film is when it does not deliver what it promises. I think when you feel like there is a contract been made, okay, this is the movie we're making. This is what you're going to see. If you don't see that, what you think, what you feel you've been promised to see, I think that it can be unfair, which definitely can equate to being wrong or bad. I think that if you, I don't think if you're not playing by the rules, then yeah, I think that sometimes if you're just taking somebody's money and running, then that isn't nice. I think that can be bad. I think that's, we can make a moral judgment on a movie. But I think that doesn't mean it's impossible to enjoy, right?
Right.
So do we want to move on to the next question?
Okay. Give me 1 second. Okay.
You looking at the list?
Let's see here. I was replying. Let's see here. How about nothing too controversial? He just wants, this is from Brian Pierce.
Yeah.
I just want the two of your ranked top 5 scariest non-classic movie monsters. No Frankensteins, no vampires, no mummies, no werewolves, or black lunatics.
Black Lagunatics. That's my favorite. I mean, I think Dixie should start another band and call it Black Lagunatics, because I think Dixie has about 5 bands every day that she starts. And I think that has to go on the roster for tonight's performance. Black Lunatics.
Live on stage 5.
That's right.
The Black Lunatics.
Movie monsters. Top 5 scariest non-classic movie monsters. No Frankenstein's, vampires, mummies, werewolves. I mean, what is not classic? Because at this point, I mean, wouldn't you even think like that H.R. Giger's Alien is classic by this point?
I guess it depends on do movies age the same as music?
I don't know.
Is it like riding in the car and now I'm listening to classic rock and it's all the shit I listened to when I was in high school?
I don't know. Is Alien is that still classic? Is that, I guess classic we're talking about Monster Kid monsters, right? The monster cereal monsters, right? We're talking about Dracula's vampires.
How about if we
Alien,
do this?
Will Alien count? Alien?
How about if we do it this way? Let's transform Brian's question to anything prior to our lifetime.
Okay.
So anything prior to our lifetime before we were born would be referred to as classic. Just to formulate this question a little bit better.
Okay. I would say I would have put I sound like a broken record, but I think Alien.
Okay.
From the movie Alien, it's one of the scariest monsters ever to be put on film.
Okay.
Do you have a monster?
Well, you need 2 more, or you need 1 more rather. He just wants 2 of them, so that's 1. Are we going to go back and forth?
No, he wants the 2 of us to rank our top 5.
Oh, 2 of you. Oh, yeah. I guess I should read that better. I should word better. I don't know. I think I would go with like maybe something like Freddy Krueger or something.
Freddy Krueger is he scary or has he become a joke? Because I just
he
see
was
like
scary in the beginning.
Yeah.
I mean, if you judge like maybe the first 3 films or the first and third film, not necessarily the second film, he was scary. I knew that like there was a time that I didn't really want to watch it when I was younger because I thought it was scary.
Yeah.
I think maybe it was more in your mind than what it was in reality because now I can watch the crap out of those movies.
Yeah, and now it's like been parodied so much that it's hard to even see those characters as having any weight to them at all.
Once you get to 4, once you get to Nightmare on Elm Street 4, it starts to get cartoony and it gets to be a little bit too silly. That's when that's when we've got DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince singing about Nightmare at Your House or the Fat Boys,
Right.
Or you got a TV series, or your kids are dressing up as Freddy Krueger for Halloween. I think that's the jump the shark moment for this. So yeah, I would go with Freddy Krueger, but I would go like maybe the first and third, maybe even 2. Maybe I'd throw 2 in there. Freddy Krueger really isn't in 2 though, not until the end.
So we do Freddy Krueger and
Aliens.
Alien. Okay.
Alien.
Now is Alien? I think I would still rank Alien over Freddy Krueger.
I would agree with you.
Okay, so
I just picked something different because I didn't want to say the same thing as you did.
I know. So we want to introduce another one now. So right now we've got 2 ranked. We've got Alien is in the 1 slot.
Okay.
And Freddy Krueger is in the number 2 slot. So let's introduce another monster and see where it sits in that lineup.
Oh, I wasn't expecting that much deep thought tonight.
Oh, so deep thought? You mean like in Hitchhikers?
You think about this. I'm going to go back to watching this movie.
Yeah, no.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Scariest is tough because I think it's hard to nowadays, especially. I think real life is surpassed the scariness of monsters.
For Freddy, for scariest, it's like I'm more pulling from my childhood memory versus now. Like I don't think that character's scary, but when I was a kid, that scared the shit out of me to want to have to watch the movie or want to watch the movie.
And I think of like Rick and Morty and stuff like that, where it's like you think of spoofs of Freddy Krueger. I think. Darth Maul.
Darth Maul.
That's what Dixie has got. Picture of Darth Maul. Darth Maul is actually really scary looking. Actually, I think the thing it was Insidious, who looks exactly like Darth Maul, is really terrifying. It's like this weird. He's listening to Tiptoe Through the Tulips. In what is it? The Child Ghost is listening to Tiptoe Through the Tulips. But yeah, I think the creature in Insidious is who looks like Darth Maul. I don't know if he has a name, but he's pretty scary. And what the thing in The Conjuring is pretty scary too. But with the clapping, what is that? Is that a monster? She's a witch.
So did you just say the clap?
The clap is very scary.
The clap. Did you just say the clapping and the clap?
The clapping. I think we're too tired to do this list right now. Lipstick Face Demon is the one in Insidious. That's what it's called. The one that looks like Darth Maul.
Well,
I think he was terrifying. Is he more terrifying than the alien? I would say no. Is he more terrifying than Freddy Krueger? Maybe not. So maybe he's our third.
All right.
Our third one. You have another monster?
Since we're at the end of our time limit here, I'll just throw out my number. We'll just do the top 4. How about that?
Okay.
And since it says non-classic movie monsters. I mean, so that's kind of open for interpretation.
Sure.
And I'm gonna go with what scared me as a child. Yeah. And I'm gonna say fucking E.T.
Whoa!
Because
you and Dixie have a lot in common.
Scared the shit.
Dixie scares the hell out. I mean, E.T. scares the hell out of Dixie. Dixie would stab E.T. if she saw E.T. in person. That is how terrified she is of E.T. So I guess we're going to cut our list short with the top 5 scariest monsters.
If E.T. at number 4.
Alien.
No, I think E.T.'s number 1. Fuck Alien.
Oh, E.T.'s number 1?
No.
So it's E.T., Alien, Freddy Krueger, and Lipstick Face. There you go.
I used to have E.T. posters in my room when I was a child, and I used to rip them down and shred the hell out of them. That's how much I hated E.T.
Wow. That is pretty terrifying.
Especially when he dies in the movie. That's really terrifying, too, as a kid.
When he's all milky and
and he's just laying face down in the water.
Oh, God. Yeah. All right. Let's not talk about it. I'm getting scared now.
Let's end this on a sour note.
So is it time to go to another commercial?
It is time.
Oh, well, time flies when you're having fun. We have a couple more commercials from a couple more comments from you, our lovely loyal listeners, and some important talk about the future of the season 16 of Cinema Insomnia, the future of our season, our current season 16. So thank you for listening, and we'll be right back.
When will man ever learn that when he pollutes the air and the water, he declares war against nature? American International Pictures presents Frogs, the story of the day nature strikes back. See Frogs, in color, rated PG. Frogs, today the pond, tomorrow the world.
And we're back with more Sleepless Nights. I am Mr. Lobo. Paul and I are having another late night, sleep deprived
I'm
conversation.
I'm about done with the Hitchhikers Guardian to the Galaxy. Guardians of the Galaxy. I don't remember this film at all. I thought I did, but god damn it.
Are you upset that it was?
I didn't know that Yondu was Ford Prefix's father. I mean,
yeah. See,
anybody could be
spoilers.
a daddy. Oh, sorry. Sorry. Yeah.
Yondu is Ford Prefix father. Everyone knows now. It's going to be all over the internet.
Anybody can be your daddy, but it only takes one to be your father. Isn't that what he says? Or something to that effect? Or did I reverse it?
What is it?
Anybody can be your daddy, but only one person can be your father, or something like that. Something to that. Yeah. Then you start crying. Oh my God! Sorry.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I did not like the second Guardians of the Galaxy very much.
Uh-oh. I think we're losing connection here.
I thought the music sucked.
No,
I thought that it didn't suck, but it just wasn't as strong as the first.
Right. I can't disagree with you. Actually, the final third is the most touching part of that movie, and that's about it.
little too granola on the music. I felt like that it felt like a placeholder, like they were just trying to have kind of a side adventure that would kind of, keep things warm while the whole Infinity War stuff was coming together. So it didn't feel like a whole movie to me,
Right.
And
bunch of moments.
I think the only thing that was amazing about that were the flashback scenes with Kurt Russell looking young, because those were incredible.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought Rocket was great.
Right. He's always great.
He's always great.
You think they're just going to make a movie about him and Groot after this is all done?
Pretty much, yeah. I think it's just going to be it's just going to be what is it, Rocket and Nebula, right? Nobody else.
Right.
and Sylvester Stallone.
Spoilers.
Somehow, right? Sylvester Stallone.
Well, we don't know how
those
those guys were actually the original Guardians from the 80s. So maybe, but we don't know how many of those actually survived the snapping.
The snapping. Oh, Lord.
I'm just going to run this ing into the ground. We've got the clapping and the snapping.
Clapping and the snapping. So anyhow, let's brush into these. We've got a lot more shows, so let's brush right into these questions here.
All right. So here's the toughest question of them all. You ready for it? Mm-hmm. How does Mr. Lobo keep his hair so glossy?
Wow.
From Robert
Schneck. Who says that? Can we block that person? Can we block them?
I am doing it right now as we speak.
Okay. How does Mr. Lobo keep his hair so shiny? I think that's grease, a sweat, a lack of hygiene in general. No, I mean, I've been told there was an article that someone had written in a Sacramento paper where they had said that Mr. Lobo had the best hair in television, which I thought was a very kind thing to say.
And you keep it in a drawer underneath your desk.
Yes. I love how many times I've been interviewed and people are like, so that's a wig, right? It's like, no, that's my real hair. I don't know why anyone would think it's a wig. I could never keep it. I could never keep it the way in one way. I try to be consistent. I have this idea that, okay, Mr. Lobo has sort of long hair and bangs, but that's not consistent. I mean, it's supposed to be sort of like a 1970s professional haircut, and it doesn't quite stay that way. It kind of goes a lot of different ways. Sometimes it's more like a Beatle. Sometimes sometimes it's more like a 70s intellectual liberal kind of haircut.
And it's funny, you brought this, you told me this once before, like long before you started working together and everything. And it's like, when we get in front of Neil Adams and it's like, he says the same thing. It's like, oh, well, I guess you're not wrong.
Yeah, well, Neil Adams thought I had a wig on too, right?
Yeah.
Gosh darn it. I don't know. So, I guess, I mean, I guess I have pretty thick hair for a guy pushing 50. I guess I have pretty thick hair. I don't know what kind of genes I have. All this is.
Now we're talking about your hair, not about your jeans.
Oh, that's right. I don't wear jeans. I wear slacks.
Uh-huh.
Paul doesn't wear either.
I'm not wearing anything right now because it's like, who the hell cares?
Oh,
I am sitting here. I am in the buff.
God.
I'm in the buff watching Hitchhikers Guardians of the Galaxy.
Why did you give me that picture? That mental picture.
Not just but everybody listening now is just going to be ruined. We're losing subscribers as we speak.
I wish I could be snapped out of existence rather than have this vision of you in the buff watching Hitchhikers Guardian of the Galaxy. I think, I use Suave shampoo, which is the cheapest stuff you can get. And that's it. So I don't know if that answers your question. I think also the backlighting, one of the most important things that I feel to the show that makes Cinema Insomnia, it sounds silly, is I have a blue backlight that kind of hits me on the top of the head and kind of helps cut me out of the black drape.
And that's because a lot of the time we don't anchor it well and it just falls off the ceiling. That's why it hits you in the back of the head.
Oh, yeah. Funk. Yeah, it has done that a couple times. But yeah, seriously, I do like to have blue top lighting or back lighting on my hair. A lot of that came from the idea of Mr. Lobo being like a cartoon character. and Superman always has kind of like these blue shines in his hair. And I think a little bit came from that. Also, I think the blue kind of made me think of like simulated moonlight or light from space or something. So I don't know. I just felt like it gave it a nice nighttime kind of look. So I think the shininess, I think, is the blue light, and maybe a little bit of my natural genes. It takes 7 races to make a Mr. Lobo. So there's a lot of swarthy, thick-haired mud races that come together that make my hair the way that it is. And I think that the blue light and the Suave shampoo. So that's the answer.
Okay.
That's the magic one.
Hashtag not sponsored.
Hashtag not a wig.
Hashtag not a wig. Hashtag not sponsored.
So do we want to read Rob's question?
This is more of a comment than a question, isn't it? Rob L. McCarthy says, more jokes by Rob McCarthy. I'm a big fan.
Yes. Rob, some people, okay, you want to read that part?
Yeah, there's more of it. It says, my father always said, toot your own horn, lest it go untooted. He also said, I'm useless in a knife fight. I can relate.
Yeah. I'm useless in a night flight. I'm useless in a night flight. I'm not on that show.
That's the wrong problem. Yeah.
I wish show. It's a more beloved show than mine. So I think that with a knife fight, I don't know why I was saying. Oh, Rob. Let me talk about Rob real quick. Rob is a wonderful man. He writes a webcomic called Hell on Wheels, which is about life in a wheelchair, which he lives with that every day. He is wheelchair bound. And he's written a lot of great, not just disabled humor, which I love to tap on him for, because he's just, I like the fact that we've got some correct thinking satire in the realm of disability on the show, and I think that with the Haunted House special and with Creepers, we got some really great jokes that will make people in wheelchairs laugh, and I like the idea of giving people in wheelchairs a break and giving them a laugh.
Giving them a break.
Oh no,
that was the wrong choice of wording.
Wrong choice of words always. So while I try to pick up the pieces of that poor choice of words, why don't you make a few poor choices of your own, and we'll be right back.
You do know we have 6 minutes, right?
Oh, 6 minutes. Well, I saw your note here. It said 3 minutes.
That was from the last segment.
Oh,
we're in the third segment now.
Hey, don't go away. We're
Welcome
still
back.
Here. Yes, welcome back. Thanks for not leaving.
That was a very brief word from our sponsors.
Yes, very brief. It was like a whisper. It was really quick. So that's Rob. Rob is great. Rob has written tons of jokes. Usually I send him the movie that we're watching, and he'll throw a bunch of zingers back. And we often use Rob's. And usually if you watch the credits, it'll say additional material Rob McCarthy. And check out his webcomic, Hell on Wheels. And I think we'll be seeing more from Rob. I mean, he's always pitching comic book stories to Marvel and DC, and I think one of these days they'll be smart and they'll get smart and they'll give him a big comic book to write, because he's very talented. Okay, so was this the last question?
This is the last question, unless you want to go to break early again.
No, it's just you're never gonna. I'm never gonna live that down.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of things where I end up not living down. I might as well return it.
So
Ryan Hickley says.
Ryan Hickey.
Hickey?
I think it's Hickey. There's no L.
Hickey.
It's not Hickley. It's
Hickley?
Hickey. There's no L. Hickey. Yes.
The more you say it, the less I want it.
We went from crabs to hickeys somehow. Go ahead.
All right. Well, Ryan says, any advice for aspiring horror hosts or indie content creators in general?
Wow. Ryan, I have some very, very, very important advice for aspiring horror hosts and indie content creators. And that advice would be to back up your material. and have backups for your backups. Usually you would have a 1, 2, 3 scenario, 2 copies of your work on site and 1 copy of your work somewhere else. That someone had just recently given me this advice. And the reason they gave me that advice is because we lost 8 terabytes of material. We talked about it briefly on the show, I believe, last time. Is that right, Paul?
We did. But I believe there's more. There's another week's worth of information now, isn't there?
There is. I think we were waiting to hear what they were going to say and what they were going to do. Basically,
Thanos struck. That's what it was, wasn't it?
Thanos struck. It went to Texas, to where we were delivered a bill of $1,678. Yeah, we were choking too, and that was not including the cost of another hard drive to transfer that 8 terabytes of material to, and shipping to ship it back to us once they finished the job. I feel like with that kind of money, they could just throw that in, but oh well. But basically, they had to replace all the parts of the hard drive with parts from an identical drive. So they had to find an identical drive that they could use the parts from, and try to replace the fried parts in a sterile environment. And of course, 8 terabytes to scan 8 terabytes of material takes a long, long time. We were on pins and needles waiting for this, and in the meantime, the fans have been so incredible. I've been so humbled by the response. We have received a lot of money from people to help meet this $1,600 plus bill of this nightmare scenario of losing the whole last part of season 16, including our season finale, which was the most ambitious episode I think we've ever tried to do. It had so many aspects to it. I mean, without spoiling it, I mean, part of it is in the future, and we used pieces from old episodes and reworked them in, and we had footage of Bob Wilkins that's never been seen before that we're using in the episode, and footage of John Stanley that's brand new, shot just for the episode. And it just was really heartbreaking when we finally got the news that the data was fried completely. That whatever fried the parts in the hard drive also fried the actual platter or whatever it is. I'm not a technician, so I'm talking out of my personal hard drive, my brain drive,
which is also fried.
Which is also fried. Yes, thank you, Paul. That's exactly what I needed.
You're welcome. I'm here for you. I got your back.
Yeah. So, and everyone has my back. Everyone has my back. And again, this whole situation has been crushing, but it's also been heartwarming to see how many people really care about the show. And I think that I really found out who our core is, the people who've really got our back. And so when we come back, we will talk in detail about where we're at now, that they were not able to recover. The lab in Texas was not able to recover the 8 terabytes of material. They're sending it back to us, and we will let you know what we're going to do next when we come back.
Hey, Mr. Lobo.
Oh, Paul, what's up?
I have a question here about this memo that I got from you. It says that Bestow TV now needs a commercial?
Oh, whoever wrote that should get fired, I think.
I'm not quite sure what to put into said commercial.
For Bestow TV, I mean, you just talk about your channel.
Like creative continuity and its sister show, bonus content?
Right, all the convention culture and the interviews with celebrities and all that stuff, sure.
Well, I guess I could also mention the cosplay montages, costumes.
Costumes, right. Astonishing cosplay montage set to an epic soundtrack.
I guess there's Convention Rewind, too.
Those are great. We've run those on OSI 74.
So I guess that's all I need. So I guess all I have.
Are you sure? Because I think there's one other show that you produced for a Bestow.
I don't know what you're talking about.
With Mr. Lobo. That we do together, the thing that we do. Remember all those videos we did?
Oh, like Mr. Lobo does.
Yes, Mr. Lobo does, of course.
That's awesome. I'm going to get right on this. I'm going to write up the script.
Hey, wait, Paul. You forgot to tell him to go to bestow.tv. Idiot.
We're back for our final segment. If you are just tuning in, then you may have missed the news. Maybe if you walked away from your device for a while and you couldn't hear us.
Though?
I don't know.
It's us.
I know. I just don't want to talk about it because it's so sad.
I would understand if it was just me alone. I mean, I've seen the numbers when it's me alone.
All right, Paul. This isn't about you for once, okay?
All right.
So, Cinema Insomnia, I've been doing this show for 17 years, and we've suffered a lot of blows. And it's not easy being a Cinema Insomnia fan. Our fans have been dragged through it, man. We have the most patient fans in the whole world. They've been waiting for this turkey to fly for 17 years. We got this news that the hard drive could not, they couldn't recover the data from the hard drive. And it was devastating, but, Aaron and I decided that it made the most sense to try to put this in the most positive of terms possible. It's not like we've got cancer or, our house got destroyed or something happened to a loved one or a family member. I mean, this is a TV show or several TV shows that we have an opportunity to do again. And, we're going over the scripts and looking at things that we would have added if we could, or if we had more time. I mean, we had certain props and costumes that didn't quite go over as well as we wanted them to. Well, now we can do them the way we wanted them to. And, I think the hard part will be inviting everyone, not hard part, but we'll have to schedule with everyone and invite them back to portray the parts that they played. Because we had a lot of actors. We had some actors that drove 3 hours, worked for 6 hours, and then drove 3 hours home, for nothing, just because they want to be a part of the show or because they like what we're doing, and, I want to do better by those people too. I mean, maybe this is an opportunity to not so much put the cart before the horse. Maybe we can get a little more money in place.
And then we can put the horse under the cart? Is that how that works?
Yeah, we can beat a dead horse with a cart. I think that's where we're at.
And then we stick it under the cart. And then, how's that make everything better, though? I'm not sure.
I'm not sure exactly.
I don't know if I get this idiom.
We can think we're stuck in this, a couple of idiots stuck. But under the cart with the horse. But we've got, some tremendous people, and I think a lot of them are going to come back. And, maybe we can, give them a little gas money and, hope maybe we can make it better this time. I'm hoping. I'm going to try to look for some sponsors. I'm going to try to maybe create some packages to maybe get some super activated fans who might want to be executive producers and allow us to boost the budget on these shows. And, so because, I mean, you come a long way to be, you come 2.5 hours to come help me make the show. And that's a long ways. Aaron comes from California, 3,000 miles to help us make TV shows. And that's a long ways. And what you do on top of that is invaluable. I mean, the quality of the new shows that we did this season, it's such a quantum jump. I think that the quality of the humor, the quality of the the way the episodes look, the way they're put together. I just think that, I'm really proud of what we were able to do. I think that the first half of this season was a wonderful proof of concept. And I think that what we can do going forward with whatever we have left in reshooting the end of the season, maybe we could try and actually fix all the things that we weren't, in front of the camera and behind the camera, fix the things that we wanted to do better and make it a more, do it in a more professional way.
Is it like what I say on set? We can make it more better.
Yes.
Do it again and make this one more better.
Make it more better. Yeah, that's pretty much Paul's directing style. It's like do it again, but more better. Yeah. No, actually, Paul is great on set. He always has. It brings a lot of ideas. Sometimes too many.
All right, we need to scale that back a little bit.
but it's great because there's always so much to choose from. You always have, Paul never comes to a set empty-handed. He always has ideas and direction.
Well, it's about options, and if I'm not giving you options, then what are we doing? That's about that. You have to give the editor options. So. Yeah,
and like I said, there's a lot. I think the episodes that we made were jam-packed with a lot of really fun aspects to them, and it was great seeing everyone come together and making those episodes. We had a lot of fun making them, and I think that it won't quite. Maybe I'm hoping it will be just as fun to do them all over again.
I'm telling you, and I'll put this one out there. This is a spoiler, but I've already sent you this message: is that we have to write it into the episode that we got to at least make fun of this at least once. There's got to be a point in time when Mr. Lobo says, "I remember doing this once before."
Yeah, there's something familiar about all this, which is funny because Triffids we had already done before also. I mean, I guess I can spoil that, but I mean, one of the episodes that we did was a remake of an episode we'd already done because we never had done it properly. We did Day of the Triffids as a live show for PBS telethon. So, it was shot kind of on the fly and live, and it was shot for their format and not typical Cinema Insomnia format. So the show wasn't formatted correctly. It has a lot of missing wraparounds, and the movie isn't broken up in the way that we usually break it up. And it had us answering telephones and taking pledges for PBS in the middle of it. So even though we hosted Day of the Triffids for television, we don't have like a standard episode with that movie. And it was such a great episode for Miss Mittens that I always wanted to return to it. And, one of the things I'm glad that we get to record that one is that in the movie Day of the Triffids, they control the plants with music. And the star of Day of the Triffids, Howard Keel, made a bunch of really cheesy albums where he sang. And I had a copy of one of those albums. And we weren't able to use it originally. I just forgot it. And so we had to do the sketch without physically having the album. And it was like, I was really proud of myself that I was able to have this vintage record with the actor from the movie in a tuxedo, singing on the front of it. And we didn't have that prop, and it was like, oh wow, this is this really cool thing that we didn't get to put in the show. And then when we went to film it again, we lost the album again.
Yes, we did.
And then I had to make a fake one that we printed, and we have the fake one in the one that we shot that we lost. But now we'll have enough time for me to put my finger on that actual album.
And just have two of them. Have the real one and the fake one.
Yes, have the real one and the fake one. The Bizarro album and the Real Dimension album. No, anyway, but that's a kind of a funny thing, but it was kind of frustrating that we did that episode twice and that prop was missing both times. But
it's the curse of the prop.
Yeah, exactly. But, there were certain things, like there were some things with makeup and costume and hair. And there were a few things that, looking at those episodes, like, okay, this episode was great, but that little thing kind of bugged me, and maybe we can do it again better, more better, as Paul likes to say.
Do it more better.
There is one last hope. They are mailing the dead hard drive back to Aaron. Aaron has kind of worked miracles in the past recovering data. Maybe he could save something from it, maybe it isn't all totally gone. So he's going to get it back on Friday, and maybe there'll be some good news. But we may have to live in a world where the 8 terabytes of Cinema Insomnia material is just gone.
Yeah. Is this? Do we take a moment to play taps? We have a moment of silence?
Let's have a moment of silence for.
Okay, you do
for all of that.
You have a moment of silence. I'm going to go back to Guardians of the. Okay, are we done? Can we come back now?
Yeah.
I poured my water on the floor. One for my fallen homie.
Yeah, you did. You poured your Diet Dr. Thunder out on the floor. Mountain Lightning, Diet Mountain Lightning.
Yeah.
On the floor. I'm so sad for, like I said, I'm more upset for other people. I'm upset for the fans because they're going to have to wait a lot longer to see new shows. I'm upset because they gave us all this money. I feel like, maybe before we go forward, should we offer them their money back? I've already heard a little bit from fans that they don't think that any fan is going to want their money back. That they would just really want us to just use that money to recreate what was lost.
Well, we're definitely going to have to invest in hard drives and a backup.
Yeah,
that's a definite.
From going forward, we're going to have to do the thing that I recommended to Ryan Hickey, which is the 1, 2, 3. We've got two copies of our work on site and a copy of our work somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
I think from now on, I think that's just going to have to be standard procedure, because the heartbreak of losing the material is something that I hope I never have to face.
I mean, that's kind of the thing that's kind of the practice that you and I almost got into too, where it's like you always have a copy of stuff that I shoot with you. But granted, the stuff I shoot with you is much, much smaller than a Cinema Insomnia episode. So if anything ever happens, because I even have that travel drive that I now carry with me, which is a shame we didn't put some of that, but it's only a terabyte though. So I guess we couldn't even fit anything in it.
Right. I mean, you do have that travel drive. I mean, the thing with Aaron's stuff is, we do have the Google Drive, which I thought Aaron was backing everything up on the Google Drive, but the size of everything was so huge it would have taken him a month to back all that stuff up.
And we were also having internet problems back around then too.
And we were having internet problems. I mean, we don't have really great internet out here. So, again, a lot of things to talk about, a lot of things to talk to the fans about. I'm writing up a big announcement to put up on the Patreon. So you guys who are listening to the podcast right now, you're really getting some deep, juicy insider information, which we will be making this podcast available to the patrons first, if possible. But really, we don't know exactly how you're going to react to this yet. And we don't know if Aaron is going to be able to do anything. But this is the latest information as of right now. I still have my arms and legs. I can still make more episodes. Hopefully everyone isn't going to be angry with me and they'll come out and perform, the actors especially, but also Aaron and Paul and Dixie and, the people who, and Rob, everyone who contributes to make the show great. All the people who propped Mr. Lobo up with Scotch tape and popsicle sticks.
Now, I have another question. What happened to, now is the archive gone as well?
The archive?
Yeah, the episodes that were completed and the raw footage for that stuff, or was that stuff backed up elsewhere?
Some of that stuff, like Creepers, the footage, the episodes that we actually made from the raw footage that was on that drive, like Creepers, we have, because we completed the episode. So there are, there's a project file, and there is, a final master of that show.
And the same with like Blobfest?
The Blobfest one. And I believe most of the Blobfest stuff was, when it was worked into the Blobfest episode, all of that footage was backed up. So we want to do a second episode from Blobfest with Daughter of Horror, which is not worth, that's okay to spoil. So that footage from Blobfest exists. And so not everything is gone. And I think there's a couple of clips from the Return Coming, which might have been saved over in normal HD. So that Aaron showed me a couple scenes he was putting together. So it is possible that some of that won't have to be reshot.
Okay.
So, so that's that. That's where we're at, Paul. And I know that you wanted to talk about Dragon Con a little bit before we leave, or do you want to save that for another podcast?
We can save it. I mean, we can just hit up that I sent you. I'm going to roll out a new segment to CosTunes where we feature an independent artist who's allowed us to use one of their songs. And I sent Mr. Lobo a sample of it. So, and I mean, what'd you think of it?
I thought it was great, Paul. I mean, I think this is it. I think you're finally going to break the internet with this. I mean, this might be the turning point, the upswing we've been waiting for.
I don't know about breaking the internet. Is like, can I fender bend the internet? Is that a term?
Slightly bruise the internet.
Love tap.
A love tap. Yes, yeah. Yes, for sure.
File a whiplash claim on the internet.
Shoulder check the internet.
Let me hook up the recorder. Oh no, I wasn't supposed to read that one. I cracked a nail on the internet.
Yes, scratching the paint on the internet. Yep.
I lightly passed gas in front of the internet.
Crop dust.
Crop dust. Can I say fart? Did I say I farted on the internet?
What is that called when you? Is that clam bake? What's the one where you fart under the covers? What is that called?
Dutch oven.
Dutch oven.
A Dutch oven. The internet. Actually, you probably could look that up. I probably think that's a thing on the internet.
Is that a thing?
Yeah.
I hope not. I'm not looking that up, Paul. I'm sorry. That won't happen. But yeah, Paul, I have to say, I really like the video, Paul. And actually, I hope you do a lot more music videos. I think that especially, and again, maybe it's just me because, you have the CosTunes thing. And music is always a part of it, obviously. You've got this kind of bombastic kind of movie music with all of the cosplayers as sci-fi heroes or superheroes. And it's a great mix. But it's really interesting when you've got an actual song and the people at the convention are singing it. It really seems like they're interacting with it. And I think that that's kind of a special ingredient to this that really works with the CosTunes brand.
It's nice that they're interacting, and then it's also that there's this whole sub-story to the song too, where you get to see behind the scenes, which I don't really do that in my videos. You don't see anything that involves the people on the other side of the camera.
No, typically not. I think you and I are kind of that same thing where we usually don't like to show the floor sweepings and the unless we're making a joke about it, right?
Yeah. And the dead horse.
That's one of these things. One of the experimental things of the past year or so. Like the podcast, where I'm being a lot more real here on the podcast than I think anywhere else in any of my other work. And I think this video that you made with Dragon Con, one, it's a music video and it has aspects to it where you've got people who are kind of singing and also kind of telling the story of the song. And then a little behind the scenes stuff. We get to see a little bit of your experience, your side of what you do when you go to a show. So I think it's great. I do think it deserves to break the internet. I don't know if it is.
I'll be okay with the fender bin.
Dutch oven.
I don't know if I go that far.
A Coney Island steamer.
All right, now.
So is that right? I don't know if I'm getting my terminologies mixed up. Which one? The one that's not made by Ron Popeil.
Okay.
So they used to have a thing on that is the Coney Island steamer. The Cleveland steamer is the one that you really don't want. The dirty one. The Coney Island steamer is the one they used to advertise on TV late at night, where you could cook one bun and one hot dog in a machine that you plug into your wall.
One of these things, if you go to Walmart, one of these things is going to get you kicked out of Walmart if you ask for
it. You can't get kicked out of Walmart.
Oh, I've tried.
Oh, yeah? Have you successfully gotten kicked out?
I've been barred from returns at one time.
Oh, okay. That's good. Wow. I wish I were banned from Walmart. That would make my life so much better. All right, Paul. Well, I'm glad, like I said, I mean, I'm glad we got to end it on a high note because, like I said, I think that, we have to keep making content. We have to keep going forward. That was a real, you kind of went down to Dragon Con there against all odds. I mean, that was not an easy show to pull off.
It was a 2-month, I had 2 months prior to plan it and figure out where the hell the cash was going to come from. We drove it. And then a week before we had to be down there, I was going to do one of the bed and breakfasts, and they canceled a week right before I had to be down there. And it's like, talk about being in a horrible predicament because it's like I'm already invested in this, and now I have no place to sleep. Am I going to sleep in my car? What's going to happen?
Right. But you did it.
But we worked it out.
Found some help. You found a place to stay. You filmed some great content. So I guess the like I said, the upside to all this is that life finds a way. As long as we're able to yes, we're not talking about Jurassic Park right now. Is this a right numbered episode to not talk about Jurassic Park?
Sure.
I'm not sure. Yeah, whatever.
We already not talked about Jurassic Park. So.
I guess we already did not talk about Jurassic Park. I do feel like, again, we're not getting any older, and that's true of anyone. I think if you're able to do something and it's meaningful to you, by all means, do it. That would be my advice to any aspiring horror host or indie content creator in general. If you're able to keep on doing it, then just keep going. And on that note, thank you so much for joining us. This has been Mr. Lobo and, of course, Paul Sanders for the Sleepless Knights of Insomnia.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to watching Hitchhikers Guardians of the Galaxy. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
You have been listening to the Sleepless Knights podcast, or should we say pODDcast.
pODDcast.
Emphasis on the odd. Our theme is by Mars Homeworld at Dead House Music. Our opening announcement is by Ophelia Necro. She does a radio show called Suicide Watch. And you could reach Mr. Lobo at cinemainsomnia.com or find me on YouTube, YouTube/Mr. Lobo, MISTERLOBO. Mr. Lobo on Facebook, Facebook/MR.LOBO, or on Twitter at Mr. Lobo, MISTERLOBO.
Or you can find myself, Paul Sanders, or better known as Bestow TV, at Bestow.tv, on YouTube /Bestow TV, on Twitter at Bestow Prod, PROD, and on Facebook, Bestow TV.
If you want to place an advertisement with this podcast, and gosh, why wouldn't you? We could be talking about you right now. Contact us, Mr. Lobo at cinemainsomnia.com. That's MRLOBO @CinemaInsomnia.com. Or support us on Patreon. Patreon supporters get to hear this podcast before anyone else and a lot of other great stuff, right, Paul?
Sure.
Doesn't get it better than that, right? So come join the fun at patreons.com/Cinema Insomnia. That's patreon.com/Cinema Insomnia. Please stay up with us next week for another Sleepless Knights podcast. Or should we say, pODDcast.
pODDcast.
The best thing about being an insomniac is never having to say goodnight.
Good night.